are back. I'm so excited to be having this conversation. I have been studying metaphysics and learning a lot about who I am. My dad died when I was about 19 years old, and I feel like that was an awakening for me, because that's when I realized, for one, I wanted to know spirituality a lot more, because I've always been like a spiritual kid. Like when I was like 5 or 6, my mom was trying to get a house or something like that, and I'm a kid. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I was like, Mom, don't worry about it. God said that this is your house. She told me that.
Wow.
And she's like, what else did God say? I'm 5 years old, and then I'm playing with something, and then I bust out talking about God said this is your house.
No, I truly understand what that means, because my little boy, my son, when he was like 4 years old, he was like, and he came running up to me and he says, Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to buy you a Ferrari. And I was like, a Ferrari is a $250,000 car, no. So what does he know about a Ferrari? But when he did grow up, he bought me a Mercedes. Yeah. Which it wasn't a Ferrari, but I didn't care for it. It's what I wanted. I like Benzes. Yeah. I didn't care about Ferraris. Still don't. But he just knew Lamborghinis. Don't care, Yeah. Yeah. But I do like Teslas. I do like Benzes. Yeah. I do like Mazdas. Yeah. Mazda's one of my favorite cars.
I love Mazda too.
I love it.
What do you think about, because I feel like sometimes when you have this consciousness, people think of spirituality and they basically separate it from the material world, because we're talking about the Matrix and things like that. But at the same time, we can be spiritual and want to have a Benz. We can be spiritual and want to have a Tesla and all these nice things and vacations.
I don't look at them as prizes. I look at them as something like a tool, like money. Money to me is a tool. I would never worship money or be greedy after money. I wouldn't drink from that cup, because once you drink from the cup of greed, it's insatiable. The more you get, the more you want. You'll never be satisfied. Exactly. But when I look at I like Maseratis and stuff like that. Yeah. I look at it as a tool to, because it's a good sound car to my knowledge, or an Infiniti. Yeah. But not because somebody else have one or they want one. It's a status symbol. I don't look at things as status symbols. I look at it if it functions, if it's good, if it works.
Well, what about the
people? I'm sort of like Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett.
Function. What if somebody's like, well, my Corolla functions well. I don't know why you want a Benz when, if you're just going from point A to point B, all you need is a Corolla. Yeah,
well, Toyotas are very good cars. Yeah. Corollas. I had one while I was at USC Film School. Yeah. In fact, I drove two different kinds. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Of Toyotas and Hondas. I mean, I think Hondas and Toyotas, they're the most sought after and stolen cars. Yeah. Because what I look at is practicality. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
But what about the people that say a Benz is not practical?
Well, it's not practical for certain people. And any kind of car will not be not practical for certain people. It depends on what you want, your level of comfort, your level of economics. Yeah. If you can afford something. Yeah. And most people, if they can afford something, they'll get it. Yeah. So it's all about affordability.
So what do you think about like manifestation? Because that's become people are a lot more conscious of the ability to manifest what they want into the world.
Well, I talk and I consult. People from around the world consult with me on metaphysics and actually manifesting, because I can teach it. Yeah. Because we can have anything we want. We can create and manifest billions and millions of dollars, success, but we can only do it with positive vibrations and energy. Yeah. And there are certain key things that The Secret won't tell you. Exactly. Books won't tell you. People won't tell you. And I let go of some of those secrets because I want to see, like God, everyone prospering, everyone happy, because we all have these inalienable rights and to be, the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Exactly. That's very true.
And the people who governs this world, some of them want to take those inalienable rights from us.
Yep.
That's what I have a problem with. Mm-hmm. And that is what I am fighting. And people who are supposedly be on the side of God and justice are going up against me for protecting and standing up for those rights.
Yeah.
We don't need a constitution created by man to tell us what belongs to us by God.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like manifesting is on a different realm than most people's reality, because we're taught that you have to work really hard, make good grades, go to a good school, and then if you go to a good school, then you get a good job, and if you have a good job, then you get a good house and a good car.
Those are programs. Mm-hmm. Because in some instance, for some people, that's a true fact.
Yeah.
But it goes with the evolutions of consciousness, because everybody here are not created equal. And I'm not talking about body-wise, and I'm not talking about money-wise. Yeah. I'm not talking about education and all these other things. Yeah. I'm talking about conscious.
Yeah.
There are different people on different levels of consciousness. Yeah. Some on animal levels.
Yeah.
And this is where the lying, killing, stealing come from, and blackmailing and harming. Because animals operate on that type of level. Forget about the blackmail. But the animals operate on survival instincts. Yeah. So the cleverness, the instincts, to kill, because they feel like if they don't kill or they don't steal or they don't, cleverly do something to gain something, manipulations, they won't get it.
Exactly.
So when people who are on a higher conscious level scoop to the animal level, that is the shame that God, that is the shame.
Yeah.
That God is being exposed to, because he created us with free will.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do those things for the materialistic world.
And I feel like it's interesting because it's almost like we're trained, because I grew up in an all-white school, only black, curly-haired Afro person.
Yes.
I mean, one of the only ones in my classes. And so throughout my schooling, I've always been talked down on and things like that, but it's almost like they train you to have this animalistic instinct when it comes to, if there's another black person in the class, or if you're the only one, you represent the whole black community, and then also they pit you against the other black people if there's another black person, or just period. It's all competition.
Yeah, so it's competition. And see, with God, there is no competition. And I kind of know what you're talking about, because my growing up and in the 70s and the 80s, I went to all white schools, and I was hardly the only black person at parties and events.
Yeah.
So I know what you've experienced, but they didn't kind of mess with me at all.
Yeah.
Because I guess at that time, if you look at my older pictures, when I was a teenager and all stuff, I got Spanish and native blood. And so I was always, they always spoke, different races thought I was one of them. Yeah. Like the Arab people thought I was Arabic. The East Indian people thought I was Indian. Yeah. The Spanish people thought I was Spanish. They would speak their language to me.
Yeah, I've gotten that.
Yeah, but I have Portuguese. Well, no, Spanish people. Spanish. It wouldn't matter Latino. It would be any type of Spaniards or Spanish people. But I have Portuguese, but it's still Spanish. And if you look at my pictures when I'm at USC, and I know you've seen my pictures.
Yeah.
They thought I was Spanish, or East Indian, or Arabic, or something other than, Portuguese and native.
Yeah. That's the thing we got to talk about, because we talked about that earlier. And I, like, growing up, when I would go to black neighborhoods, they're like, "You're not black." I'm like, "Well, what am I? My mom is black, my dad is black. So what is black?"
They would think that you were, Dominican or
a lot of people thought I was
Cuban.
Mixed. Yeah, half black, half white, or Dominican, Puerto
Rican. Yeah, or mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know, because I went to a party, but I didn't know they saw me that way. As God is my witness, I did not know until an imam who was planning on marrying me and Muhammad Ali, he saw me and he was talking to me because, Ali had introduced me. And so we were sitting here on a one-on-one talking, and he said, young lady. And I said, yes. He said, what are you? But I didn't know what he was saying. I said, what?
What do you mean, what are you?
He said, what are you? I said, what do you mean? What am I? He said, what nationality are you? And I said, oh, I'm black.
Yeah.
I'm black. I never have ever hidden the fact that I was black. I love being black. Yeah. I don't care if they say the word black is derogatory, the word. Before light came upon the void, it was black. I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
And black is a beautiful thing because I'm the one that gave them the black clothes that they're wearing in the Matrix, and they look so cool in.
Yeah.
Because Hollywood had this thing that the good guys wore white and the bad guys or the evil guys were black.
Yeah.
And so they put this connotations on black people or people of color that it's derogatory to even use the word black or call yourself black or to be black.
Yeah.
But I never saw anything derogatory about it. But like I was saying, I went to a party. It was an Arab party.
Yeah.
They had invited me because a lot of the students, I'm talking about students on the campus because it's diversity, wealthy people, because at that time I was paying $200 per credit. That's like now $2,000 a credit.
Yeah.
The equivalent of the money now.
Yeah.
What I was paying there, and it's just like $2,000 a credit. So it's all these wealthy people from everywhere. So they invited me to a party, make a long story short.
Yeah.
And I told all of my black friends, I had several of them. And we go to the party, and I'm treated really great.
Yeah.
But they come to me, my friends, all of them, maybe 5 of them I took.
Yeah.
And they say, these people are treating us really bad here.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean they're treating y'all bad?
Yeah.
And they say they're being racist towards us.
Yeah.
That's when it dawned on me. I said, oh my God. Well, I was always befriended by different races, but I didn't know that they saw me that way because I never saw myself that way.
Exactly.
My grandmother's full-blooded Cherokee.
Yeah.
My grandfather's from Portugal, Spain.
Yeah.
He's full-blooded Portuguese. So to me, knowing spirituality and truth, 3/4 of the earth are nothing but black people. When you go to China, they're black. When you go to Russia, when you go to Japan, when you go to Cairo, they're nothing. Because how do I know this? Because I come from a military law enforcement family.
Yeah, and you've actually traveled to different places. And you
well, my family also have lived, and across globally in different countries. And I know this for a fact.
Yeah.
Now, when they do videos that they pump over here in America, they show the lighter ones.
Yep.
When you go to Cuba,
they only show,
they show the lighter, but they're black ones because Fidel kicked out all of the white ones and pretty much the light ones and hope they drown when he put them in the boats and sent them to Miami, Florida.
Wow.
And George, I think it was George.
I've never heard that
George.
story.
Oh, it's true.
I've heard the story of Cubans fleeing because I went to Miami a couple months ago, and the way I've been told the story is that they were fleeing Cuba because of how bad they were being treated, and they ended up in Miami, and then they had this whole statue for the Cubans who landed in Miami.
No. Fidel opened up his whole prison system and put them in boats and sent them and hoping they would drown. And some people did try to escape. And this was the whiter ones were the wealthier ones, and they were at the wrath of Fidel.
Was he darker?
No, Fidel was fair skinned. Very, you can Google him.
Why do you think he?
Why he favored the black Cubans? Obviously, he thought of himself as being black, and he knew the truth because
his parents might have been.
Because skin color doesn't determine who you are. Your DNA determines. The skin color is nothing but a cover.
Exactly.
Because there are white people who are passing for blacks, and there are black people who are passing for white.
How can a white person pass for black?
Well, ask about the woman
I know
Rachel or whatever her name.
I know about her, but do you think like
what do you mean? What do you mean? You don't know about who's passing for what?
Like, so I know there's really light-skinned black people, especially coming from
No, not light-skinned. Now, wait a minute. Louisiana and South Carolina, because I know for a fact, because I got half brothers and sisters, their relatives come from Louisiana. When I was a little kid, I saw their relatives. I thought they were white people. So I'm little. I'm like 7, 8 years old. And I meet their relatives. These are grown people, and they look like white people. We're like, they're white. We're talking about silky hair. We're talking about blue eyes, green eyes, blonde hair, white skin, not no light skin, white skin. Yeah. And this has been going on during the slave times. There were blacks that were passing for white. You look at the old magazine, Sepia, S-E-P-I-A, during the 60s. Yep. They had a cover where all of these black people in Hoover, Carol Channing, Eula Brenner, to name a few, lots of them was passing for white. Yeah. Even, what's his name, Burt Reynolds was not a white person. Yeah. So I try to tell people that the self-hatred came from the blacks who were passing for white. The racism, a lot of it came from those same black people who were passing for white. Yeah. Because I met a girl, her name was Carol. She worked for Lou Gossett Jr., and I was working for Lou Gossett Jr. while I was at USC, the actor Lou Gossett Jr. Yeah. The girl, her name was Carol. She had silky blonde hair, she had blue eyes, she had white skin, and she had the appearance of a white person. Totally. Yeah. Not a light-skinned person, not anybody trying to fake it. Yeah. She really looked like a white. She told me that she was not white. She said she tried to pass for white. She married a white man and tried to pass. She got pregnant, and the baby came out black. Dark skin with other traits from, and he thought that she had cheated on him. So he was trying to kill her. Wow. Yeah, because he thought she had cheated with a black man. And
that's how brainwashed we are to.
Well, she had to tell him the truth that she was a black person. And that's how they split up. She told me, I will never try to pass. Now, let me tell you what's going on. These same people that I just described, like her, who really, you can't tell, they're not light-skinned blacks, light-skinned Spanish, light-skinned Arabs, light-skinned Chinese, light-skinned Japanese, or, Russians, because they got black Russians, black Italians, they got black everything, black Germans. And people need to wake up, because it's your DNA. People who are not trying to pass, they know the truth about this. They need to deal with this and be who you are. The problem of racism stems from these people who want to be white because they want white privilege. What's going on across the border right now? All of the people who are coming across over here, no matter if they're from other countries, they're offering them white privilege because the white race has genocided themselves and they're dying out and they are the minorities.
It's only logical because every other race has color. So how can you be the only race that doesn't have variations of color really?
Well, if you go into the Bible, they were the lepers. Leper only meant white skin. It wasn't a disease. They're lying in the dictionary and saying that lepers had a disease and so they had to go underground. They were not in the caves per se. They were in the bowels of the earth because the sun burnt their skin, burnt them up. Wow. Just like the sun right now gives them cancer. And the sun, if they go into the beaches and they really have the white DNA, they will almost do an explosion, combustion. They will combust.
Really?
You've heard of the combustions, what is it called, where they literally blow up and all you see is a foot or head or arm. It's called spontaneous combustion.
What?
This is true, and people need to research this.
I've heard of it, but I didn't know it was people that were combusting. I thought maybe...
Yeah, they would blow up literally on the beach. One woman blew up on the beach, and they try to say maybe it was a mine on the beach. You know, like a mine is leftover explosion from a war, from training, military training. Yeah. Their mines are found sometimes in different places. Yeah. But no, they were doing spontaneous combustion, and people need to look that up, because what happened was these lepers or white skin that was in the bowels of the earth. They had to be in the bowels because sun comes through the cave. So they had to be in the bowels of the earth.
Explain the bowels of the earth. Does that
mean meaning that they had to be underground to avoid the sun, because we were children of the sun. The black people were children of the sun, SONSUN, because the sun was created to destroy bacteria. The sun destroys any kind of negative energy or bacteria. Say for instance, you go to the thrift store and you find something, and maybe somebody would use that table for witchcraft that you found in the thrift store. Maybe they were wearing these clothes when they performed a ritual, or they were practicing some evil magic or something. Well, people knew, and these were shamans and people that had wisdom, oracles. They would tell you, whatever you got from the thrift store, leave it in the sun for 3 days, and it would clear out all the negative vibrations. Because people can Google this. These people found a table at the thrift store, but the table was used for sacrificing, for witchcraft and sacrifice. But the people didn't know. They brought it home, and they started having all of this static, all of this entities, and all kind of fallout, evil fallout, spirits, demonic manifestations, and everything. And they thought it was the house, and so they moved out of the house.
But they kept the table.
And they kept the table, but they didn't know it was the table. And so they started experiencing wherever they went, until somebody examined the table one day, and they saw the rituals and the incantations, and told them the table. Once they got rid of the table,
it stopped.
It was gone.
Wow. People out there, my mom in particular, she loves the Facebook Marketplace.
Well, you're going to have to leave it in the sun.
And the Craigslist. And I told her, like, I thought about it one day. It's like, you're taking on people's clothing. Or she doesn't really buy clothing, but furniture, it can hold a spirit. If you're sitting in a chair for years and years and years, it can hold that spirit of whatever was going on in that chair.
Rings can hold. Rings, objects, anything from a thrift store can hold the vibrations and energy of the owner. So if the owner was wicked or evil, or practiced witchcraft, or practiced some divinations or some other demonic stuff, you're bringing that into your orbit, and you're bringing it into your house. And you have to be careful who you invite to your house, because like the vampire movies was telling you, Count Dracula, the devil, the vampire, couldn't come into your house or cross your threshold unless you invited him in.
That's true.
And those people invited him in because they knew what he was, but they were so amused by him, and so, that they were entertaining evil. And that's what happens now. People entertain evil because they're so fascinated with it. They want to learn about it. They want it in their presence, but don't realize that once you invite it in, you can't get it out. You're going to have to take precautions. And they don't believe in God, but guess what? When that evil get to working on them, they believe in God then. They believe in God then. I mean, you may never believe in God, but guess what?
If you see one of them spirits, I've witnessed when I first started, like after my dad first died, I was really into spiritualism and stuff like that, and I wanted to understand the positive and the negative, because I experienced negative. I want to understand the demonic side and also the angels and things like that. So I got really deep in understanding the
metaphysics of it.
Yeah, the tricks of the devils and demon possessions and stuff like that. And I was getting too far into that where it became in my consciousness, and then I could start to see it. And
yes.
That was scary. So for me to be seen, and I was actually at my aunt's house, and I was 18 years old, and she had a movie theater, and we had just watched a scary movie. I don't know why I always used to watch scary movies when I was, late teens, and everybody had fallen asleep, and I just felt this energy, this big dark energy.
Yeah, come over to you,
right next to me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was completely dark. So
you don't know what it is except the energy, matter, dark matter.
Yeah, I know nobody was sitting next to me, so I could feel it. And I told my aunt once everybody woke up and they opened the door, because it was like a dungeon, because it was a movie theater. They opened the door. I was like, "Thank you, God!" And I ran out of there, and I told my aunt, because she's very spiritual, and I was like, "There is a demonic spirit in here. I felt it. I'm never coming over here again. I'm just to let you know."
Well, but Warner Brothers is a big component of demonic movies, because what happens is demonic movies actually enslave you. It puts you in bondage.
I believe it.
Because it has all these subliminal messages in these demonic horror movies.
Yep.
It has the incarnations. It has real witchcraft, 3,000 to 4,000 year olds, and that's what Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And Halloween is the biggest witches, warlock, demonic holiday of the witches and the warlock. And I want to bring this up, and we're talking about it because it has something to do with the Matrix and Terminator.
Yeah.
Because it's good versus evil.
And they're targeting children through those videos.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the children are easier to program.
Yeah, because they want to have them for life. They want to have the kids for life.
They want to put them in bondage. It's all about pedophilism. It's all about sex trade and sex trafficking, and also, terrorist acts, all this. And they want to use the Matrix and Terminator
to perpetuate
money, stolen money, unaccountable.
Yep.
You can't track it.
Yeah.
To commit the most horrendous crimes against the USA and against the United States of America, their people, the U.S. people.
Yeah.
Because the government would have a hard time finding where this slush fund payoff came from, where this bribe money come from. Because if you work, they can track you.
Exactly. They
can track your money and say, you know what? You use this money to commit this crime. We're going to lock you up because we track the money back to you. But when you got stolen money, it's untrackable and it's unaccountable.
Yeah.
And this is why they want to use the Matrix and Terminator movies money. Well, that's why they're talking about counterfeiting and lying to the public when they're going to give you an Applejack, because they can't give you Apple, but they want to sell you an Applejack for $2,000 or $1,500 or $1,800 for a real apple.
Yeah.
But they also have another purpose.
Yeah.
Taking your money, but putting you in bondage.
Yep.
Because the message they're going to put in there is a twisted message and program.
Yeah.
And this is what they wanted. And God used the Matrix and Terminator to awaken people, to bring them out of the programs, to set them free so they can have their own free will. So why would God put you back in the Matrix after he's awakened you out of the Matrix and Terminator?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why would he put you in bondage?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's very true.
Yet people act like they don't know what this is going on here.